was a day we covered from beginning to end. We're in the center of all of this. And, you started the coverage around 7 o'clock in the morning. Voting started.
Yes.
First thing I'll say is that I think that people underestimated the interest in the turnout because they had planned that by 4 o'clock there would be declaration. Declaration was done around 7.
Yes.
In fact, almost 8 p.m. 8 p.m. So 4 hours behind tells you that. And this is because in some places, people were even in the queue as of 2 o'clock.
Yes.
In a few places. And of course, the turnout is about 94%. So a lot of people turn up in the NPP to vote for this.
But I also say that I think in some places, the turnout in the beginning was very low.
And then it picked up.
It picked up, yes.
But voting finished mostly early. I think the other thing I underestimated was just getting those results in and collating them will take a bit of time. Right? Because there's national election, 275 polling stations. So although, in fact, 276. So although you have fewer numbers to contend with, it was like a national style election. All right. Now, when the results started coming in, the people who were around me was like, "Wow, can they try you? Can they try you?" Which is what I kept hearing.
Yeah.
Now I don't know why people would say that. I don't know whether you were monitoring when the results were coming in, but people kept saying, "Charlie Kennedy, they get votes." I don't know whether they expected that he wouldn't get votes or they thought that he wasn't going to do that well. But when the numbers started coming, even in the north, I mean. Of course, in some place, Bawumia totally wiped the floor with him. But he for example, a place like Binduri, he won. And then in the north, indeed, in the savannah and then the upper east. What's going on here? The guy's getting plenty of votes.
He's contesting.
Right? Of course, he won Central, which is not surprising. He won Volta, which wasn't a big margin, but he won Volta. Greater Accra was very close. Yes. Greater Accra was almost like 52-48. Very close. Central region were not, but Ashanti and Eastern Bawumia won very well.
Very well, yes. He did very well in those two regions.
And then, of course, a few other. I don't know what the biggest headline for you was in terms of the result itself first. The result and then the details of the regional spread. Anything that caught your attention?
Well, a couple of things caught my attention, but with regards to the specific question you've asked, I think that, of course, the more than good performance of Kennedy Agyapong would be a good headline, because the day before, the Bawumia campaign had been designed to make sure that he was on the front page of every major newspaper in the country, the media soiree, and then the declarations from his spokespersons that look, and in fact, in the week of in the build-up, the message had been, look, 80%, 80%. So that was devoid of any data or any scientific indicators. People were telling, look, this one is easy for Bawumia. But when it came down to the actual votes, the people who mattered, they showed that Kennedy had won more than a few hearts within the NPP. And I think for him, it would be safe to say it was a satisfactory outcome for his larger agenda, because I keep telling you about the fact that, look, there is a vacuum that is waiting to be occupied in the NPP. And Kennedy felt that his style was the best way. And he put his heart in there, and it looks like he will have a say. Which brings me to some of the things that I want to highlight born out of this, of Saturday. First of all, congratulations to the NPP. They ran a very efficient process. There were very few hiccups what happened on Saturday. Yes, they underestimated the turnout, 94%. I think they by 7 o'clock, being able to announce results is okay. By our experience as a journalist and covering elections, that's fine. Okay, so it's something we've done. So the efficiency of the party machinery in this country, both NPP and NDC, always amazes me. And I keep telling you that if the efficiency of the organizations that they have were to be brought to how they have run this country, would be far gone. Because they are very, very good at running those party machineries. So congratulations to the NPP. The EC has a lot of work to do. And the EC's work has to do with the now almost shameless acceptance of clientelism and the very transactional nature, which we now couch under TNT. Because if the EC wants this democracy to grow, and this is the thing, we have become a democracy that is very good at elections, voting and counting. But the other aspects of a democracy, we are not very good at, and it seems like we are not too interested in strengthening those aspects. Party financing has to become a very big conversation for the EC. Because in the end, a party must be able to tell you, candidates must be able to tell you how much money they raised, how much money they used, what is the limit, what is the cap of what you can do. Because paying 400 Ghana cedis multiplied by the number of people we saw, and some of the delegates who openly told microphones and cameras that, look, the money has not come, this is that, and we had spokespersons justifying it to say, my good friend, my brother Samir Uku, say, oh, this is a humane touch. These are party delegates. These are the people who are your own members. What other humane touch do they need to vote for a flag bearer? What other sort of motivation do they need? Okay, so the Electoral Commission has a lot of work to do with regards to how we fund political parties, who finances them, and how these things are managed if we want the democracy to reach the next level.
All right. These are still general comments. They are not specific on the MPP itself yet.
I'm coming.
Yeah, I know. You are making general.
Yes.
Electoral.
Now I'm coming to the MPP. Now for Bawumia, the first point for me, how does he deal with Ken? It's a big question. Ken had a very conciliatory tone in his acceptance speech.
His concession speech.
Yes. But I cannot help but also look at the fact that this is a very unpredictable person with a very short fuse. It does not take much to trigger a side of him. But what cannot be overlooked is his loyalty to the party. Albeit he might have a different way of going about it. But the point is, with the numbers that he was able to show, whether the vice president, who is now the flag bearer of the NPP, likes it or not, this person will have a say in what the party does going forward. What kind of say, how you embrace it, how he is able to direct it to serve the greater good of the party and to serve his own political ambitions are up to him. But what he must understand is that there is a Ken factor now. There's a Canadian Agyapong factor in the NPP. United as it is, there are no factions, yes, but there are blocks. It is normal in every political party. The number 2 block in the party is Kennedy Agyapong.
So you are saying that leadership, I don't want to call it a battle, but that leadership contest.
Yes.
Kufuor is sort of waning. Bawumia is going to be the new leader.
Yes.
But the counter force, in a way, will be Kennedy.
Basically, if we are doing checks and balances in the party, the person who...
But does it not depend on how Bawumia plays it? Because as you've said...
Which is...
He could play it such that there isn't even...
a need for that.
A Kennedy block or whatever.
Certainly. But the point is, by virtue of how well he performed, you see, Alan had contended Nana several times. He did not perform very well.
He never got
he did not have
the legitimacy
to say certain things and do certain things. Oh, come on. Let's be within the party.
Let me just help you.
I don't want to be helped.
The first time the two men contested at Legon.
Yes.
Check the results.
Yeah, but that was
a
limited electoral college.
Yes.
He's using, when you use electoral college expanded, Alan never got what Kennedy got.
You see, he didn't prefix his discussion with that. So I'm just trying that because it's a public domain.
I hear you.
To suggest that Alan did not matter that much. That election at Lagos, look at the record.
The election had less than 2,000 voters.
No, that's not the point. If he had prefixed like that, I wouldn't have a problem.
No problem.
Okay. Point.
I will be very specific with the point I'm making.
Go ahead.
What cannot be hidden is Ken has a say by virtue. If the results had gone the way Bawumia's people had wanted it to go by virtue of the headlines we saw. 80% or nothing.
By Simmons calls it a landslide
coronation.
So you can say like Mahama got 90 whatever percent. So even though it's an election, it's basically
a coronation.
This was not a contest.
This is a contest.
This was a contest. This was a proper contest. So that vacuum, that gap that exists, Bawumia has occupied it, but Ken will have a say. As to how he manages it with him, that's okay.
Let me ask you a question there. Does it depend more on Bawumia or Ken, how this plays out? Because you said Ken is unpredictable.
Very.
And Bawumia is the new leader.
Yes.
So who makes the first move? Obviously Bawumia.
Bawumia, yes.
So his tone will decide what happens.
Everything depends on Bawumia and how he deals with this.
Okay.
The second one that I pick from this, and again with Bawumia, is the Kufuor shadow. Yes, I call this the Kufuor shadow.
Shadow of the Kufuor.
And if you listen to what he tried to say, he said, I have my own vision and priorities.
Yeah,
I am my own man.
Yeah.
He tried to set that tone very quickly.
In his first speech.
Yes. He tried to set that tone very quickly.
Yeah. I have my own vision.
I have my own vision and I have my own priorities.
Yeah.
So he is setting the tone very quickly that he is not perhaps going to be the kind of person or the kind of leader that Kufuor was.
Yes, yes.
And it's very important that he find a way of navigating that path.
Yes.
Because it can serve him well and it can do him in. Now, it can serve him well on the national platform. Internally, it could do him in. Because this is the person who has run the party for 16 years.
Who literally held your hand and gave you the chance.
That's your political godfather, basically.
Yes.
What he says to you will matter.
Very true.
At what point do you listen and at what point do you not listen?
It's a major test.
At what point do you say, I want to leave the farm a bit? And those instances will come.
Oh, yes.
Because there is political interest in a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
After 16 years, the sitting president has a hold in a lot of things.
It's powerful.
Dr. Bawumia is coming with a crowd who would want a say in some of those things. How do you share those things?
A big question.
It's a big question that he has to deal with.
Yeah.
So the Kufuor shadow is there for him to deal with.
So let's go. No, say number one, he's managing internal issues, dealing with Kennedy.
Yes, how to deal with Kennedy. Then the
Number
second one
two,
is the Kufuor shadow.
The shadow of the president.
Yes, the sitting president.
That's like a title of a book.
Yes.
The shadow of the president.
My
third point.
My third point, that will be my last point. It's time to face his past and present to save his future.
Can you say that again?
Yes. It's time for him to face his past and his present to save his future.
To save his future.
You see?
Because I like that.
Dr. Bawumia, the candidate back then on the ticket of the NPP of Kufuor. Dr. Bawumia, the vice president. Now running mate. But Dr. Bawumia, on the ticket of the NPP, said a lot of things.
It's a different ball game.
He was a one-man machine
wrecking crew
for the economy of this country.
Finish the people.
You won the election and ran away from.
Where did you run away?
Bernard. He has not answered a single question he said for himself.
At the 176.
He did not answer a single one. And the thing is this. Most of the things he said as a candidate on the ticket of Nana Kufuor were questions that people expected answers from.
And didn't get.
And he did not get. And I can confidently say he deliberately avoided answering those questions. Because in the midst of recession, in the midst of the most difficult economic period the country has gone through, under a vice president who, prior to becoming vice president, had been touted as the single most influential economic manager. Messiah is too much of a manager.
Yeah.
He has not navigated that part well. He has not answered those questions as to what his exact role was or what his exact role is in this party. Now, a few months ago, in fact, his handlers tried to put it in the public, that in fact, a lot of the things that were happening on his blind side. We had that debate here that he was not being allowed to
It was even a subject of some editorials.
Editorial that he was not being allowed
They should allow the
man to work,
and that some of the people are taking decisions that are inuring to the defeat of the party.
I, for one, did not buy it, and I explained to you why. Yes, because a lot of the major policies that were being run, digitalization was ongoing. All the things that he had said were ongoing. How were you not being listened to? So now he has to face those questions. You could avoid them then as vice president, but now you are a candidate.
Yeah,
you can speak to some friendly ears, but you still have to face the country. You see, because for him, it's a matter of trust. The NPP have given him the trust, and he spoke about it by voting for him. It wasn't a comprehensive trust they reposed in him, but they have given him the trust.
Yeah.
But to win a national election, you must win back the trust of a lot more than just the NPP. Now, how do you come back and convince those people, after avoiding them for 6 years, that you were not responsible for A, B, C, and D?
Yeah.
And it's important that he clarifies what his role was.
Yes.
It's a question he cannot run away from.
And then also elaborates on what he said about he will set his own agenda. Because that was a very pregnant statement to me.
And he kind of gave us an indication. He said he's prioritizing a digitalized economy, data-based economy, which is something that we have seen this government try to do in bits and pieces, not as comprehensively as he has outlined in his vision. But most importantly for him, and perhaps the one thing that will determine whether he becomes president or not, is his ability to convince the nation of his role in what has become the worst economic period under any political administration in the Fourth Republic. It's something that he cannot run away from. And it will be interesting to see how he goes about answering those questions. And the thing is this, to his handlers, he has to be very honest about it. He cannot fall back on the campaign style of Bawumia 2014, 2013, you cannot make light of things anymore. You cannot be overly... There is no Mahama economic policy to bash. There is your economic policy. As to your role in it, you now have to tell us. It's a very difficult period for him. But the most, for me, important, time now to face the music.
So
that's the things you said.
I think you've said 3 things. And I just want to say... So it's like basically you're saying, number 1, what will he say to Kennedy?
Yes.
Number 2, what will he say to Kufuor? And number 3, what will he say to Ghanaians?
So,
and those are 3 important questions. I think I said this.
Thank you very much. I'm done.
So and of course he doesn't have to answer all at the same time.
Oh, there be.
If you listen to the event on Saturday, it's and I think that the second and the third question I get a hint because of what he said, but we'll leave that for now.
Yes.
Let's take your own reactions, Sky, quickly before we get into our next. And by the way, as I said, we are continuing our relief effort. We are doing an important donation this morning.
Yep.
And we are changing strategy a bit. This time the mountain is coming to Mohammed. Mohammed is not going to the mountain. So the mountain has come to Mohammed. But did you follow the result declarations, as in when the results were coming out? And were you surprised by anything in the regional breakdown or the 60, 13, whatever? What did you make of the result?
Well, I would first of all commend Dr. Bawumia for winning this ticket. It shows that he put in a lot of effort, and those efforts have reaped all the benefits that he's enjoying today. The question is, what would he do with the ticket? Because if you lead people, the expectation is that you do something for them. That for the NPP will be winning power again. The expectation is that he will not take the party into opposition, but he will win power with him as the leader of the party. As to whether he will do that, it's a matter that Ghanaians will decide within the next year or so. So I'll congratulate him on that score. And then also, let me celebrate Kennedy Agyapong for making a very bold decision to accept the outcome of the elections and to come around. Because people become sour losers and say...
People were very worried about what he would say. I think he was very gracious in his speech. Very, very.
But coming back the way he did and speaking the way he did and making a commitment to stay through to the cause of the party and to help Bawumia win.
I'm sure the General Secretary heaved a sigh of relief. Because Charlie, Kennedy went on the stage and said, they say, it's live on air. No, you could sense the relief
Exactly.
when Kennedy said the process was fair.
Yeah,
and I
fair.
pledged to support the MPP.
Yeah, everybody. It's been magnanimous in defeat,
yes,
and it's worthy of celebration. And then also the two other contestants in the race, Adainimo, who came fourth, and then Dr. Friakoto, who placed third. They also spoke and registered their commitment to the processes of electing the MPP again in 2024. And these are men. Much earlier, they had signed a document. Which document they committed themselves to saying that, look, when we win or lose, we are staying with the MPP.
That's serious.
So a man is as good as his word.
Yes.
And having done this, I think I have to celebrate them for all of that. Yeah. But in terms of the result, I would say that no, I was not.
You are not surprised?
No, because I told you. I remember the debate we had a day after or days after the initial primary election.
Yeah.
When I said that what happened at the Special Delegates Congress or Conference will repeat itself. Not exactly in the same fashion, but Bawumia will sweep almost the same numbers. And then I remember, people say, no, how can you say that? Because I said that the people who were making the decision at that time almost always reflect the thinking of the party. People say, well, these are appointees of guys. I said, no. These are people who understand the party at the grassroots. They were taking decisions for and on behalf of people they lead. So it would be an impossibility to expect that November 4 will come and Bawumia will perform so poorly as to allow somebody else to even emerge the winner. It was not going to happen. And I stuck my neck out here.
But you are talking about the trend now. So 68%. And then the rest shared the 30%. Now he has 60%.
61.
Statistically. And then one man is almost 40. So even though it's you see, for me, you can say that November 4 repeated August 26 in terms of the trend. But in terms of the degree of the vote, this November election has shown that the support of the people who were not for Bawumia is much higher than the August 26 showed us. Do you understand? Because if you have 9 people sharing about 30%, all right, but now you have just 4 candidates running, and almost all the 30%. So the guys who had the 30% increased to almost 38%. So it's the emphasis is not the same as the outcome. You get it?
The point has to be made that the suggestion was made that Bawumia was not as popular within the grassroots of the party.
Yes.
I debunked that statement when I made my submission a day or two after the initial election.
Okay.
And I said that there was no way there would be a different result come November 4.
As an outcome.
Outcome. And we have not seen that outcome. And you see, Bernard, let's go to what the records say in terms of what happened previously within the MPP. If you look at how Edu Boahin became the flag bearer of the party.
No, I have that number here.
So he secured 56.60% before leading the party in 1992 with 1,121 votes.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the subsequent election, which John Kufuor won, he won the flag bearer position in 1996 and 1998, and he garnered 1,034 votes, representing 51% in 1996. And then in 1998, he had 1,286 votes, representing 64.60%.
0.60.
Yeah, 60. Forgive me, 60%.
So that's 64%.
That's 64%.
But he was he was
running for the second time.
Yes, so he moved from 51 to 64.
Yeah.
And
then if you go, was it the second time or the third time?
Okay, the third time. But it was the second time that he won.
Yeah,
so his first win, 51. Second win, 64%.
And if you go to Nanado's own performance, he ran in 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020 elections. He represented
Nanado to chair for the teams.
And he secured the top spot in Legon with 47.9%. He didn't make the 50% mark.
Yeah.
And then he went again in 2000. He went into the 2008 elections, 2010, and then 2012 general elections.
Yeah. So 2010, what did he get?
So in 2000 and what do you call it? So he had 94.35% of the votes.
Yeah.
94.35. Let me just get back to that record.
So this is for the. So there was a 2010 for the 2012 election, and then there was the 2014 for the 2016 election.
Yeah. So prior to 2016, Nanado secured 117,000, representing 94.35%. So and then subsequent elections he did better. He was around 94.
Yeah. So he was after his first attempt.
Yeah.
Or his first victory, the rest he's been basically wiping the floor of everything.
Exactly. So the records show that the first time he tried, he didn't get 50%.
Yeah.
And Alan performed so well. He had close to 30-something% of the votes, about 35% thereabout of the votes.
Yeah.
So it tells you that for someone, Bawumia, contesting for the first time, to have 61% of the vote, it's no mean achievement. Especially when you know the campaign that had been waged against him and the establishment. The suggestion was made that, these people, they've been in charge for 8 years. What have they done to you? So they went to the grassroots to say that the people at the top, even when they give you 1 Ghana cedi, it's because they have 1 million Ghana cedis. So the one they are giving to you, sir, is not proper money. So there was a major campaign against the establishment. So all these people who you see protesting and all of that, it was because someone had told them that, look, you have not been given your due, which is fair, at least in politicking. But I must say that quickly, people are saying, Bawumia, 61% is not good enough. I don't think the NDC should make that mistake. People underestimated Bawumia. That nothing has not made it before. What do you call it? Aliu tried it. He didn't become vice president. But we are talking about 2 different personalities.
Yeah.
So what I would advise opponents of Dr. Bawumia to do is to get back to the drawing board.
So you're saying that his opponents underestimated him in the first time. They shouldn't return the favor.
That's right.
Doing it. I just want to say something to you, though. I agree with your analysis. I just wanted to do something. You see, in the elections you mentioned prior to Kufuor in 2014, there was a limited electoral college. So it's better to use Bawumia 68 in the first round to compare with those numbers, which is still better. Because if you take the 68% in the special delegates, that compares to all the elections prior to 2014, which will be like special delegates type of election, which is 68 is still much higher than the others. But if you want to compare, this is 61. It's better to compare to the Nanado from 2014. But of course, as you're saying, that was like a second time the guy was coming. But the other thing you also need to remember is that in all these Nanado victories and things, he was not dealing with first timers. Okay, so for example, Nanado against Alan, he was dealing with somebody he had gone with many times. So what sort of diminishes a bit is that Kennedy is a first time contestant too,
which is true.
Do you understand? So it's like 2 first time contestants. So 60-40 is thereabouts. And the last point is that whilst you were saying people said Bawumia was not anti-establishment and all that establishment, the other point is that his own people were projecting much higher. So one of the reasons why the celebrations have been a bit muted is the performance of Kennedy against what was sold.
Well, man,
do you understand it? Because on one hand, you're saying some people said he was the establishment candidate, and there was a lot of saying that the real grassroots will show him his real size, which he has debunked. But when you look at what his people were saying about how he was going to win it, and you compare it to how well Kennedy did, then you can also say that is also a bit humbling, which is why you haven't seen gloating, but they are more measured in their... In fact, when you listen to him the day he voted and you ask him, what's your feeling? He said, look, he's reasonably confident he's going to win, but it's in the hands of God. He started... He didn't sound... he wasn't buying the hype of his campaign people. You know what I'm saying? When he was asked, when he voted, he was basically saying, look, I'm reasonably confident I'm going to win. And we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make any prediction. I'm just going to wait to see what God does. And I'm saying that's very different from what his people said, even within that week.
Yeah, you see, which is true. You know, speaking to some of his people after the elections, the sense I get is that he doesn't want to be in a mode that gives the impression that they are celebrating the defeat of the likes of Ken. Because my understanding is that, first of all,
but did you ask them why they were projecting 80 and 85?
That was framing. My understanding is that they said they were framing the minds of the delegates. Now, wait. Let me finish what I'm trying to say.
Framing what?
That the impression I get from them is that already Alan is gone.
Yes. So there's no need to push somebody else out.
So
you can't gloat.
And more so when you get someone like Ken getting in excess of 34% of the vote. You cannot toy with that. You need that support. You need his support. You need his money, regardless of all the excesses that come with him. You need his support, his influence, his voice, his money, all of that to be able.
So you're saying that the muted celebrations is more to do with managing the aftermath.
Exactly. That's how I understand it.
I think it's both. I think it's managing the aftermath, but also a reflection of the fact that some were genuinely shocked at Kennedy's performance in some of the places. Some were genuinely shocked because some of them were like, "Hey, Akwano," you know when you go into a race with somebody. Look, let me put it this way: when you listen to the media, there are lots of posts for Bawumia. Mostly Kennedy speaks for himself, except one or two people. So you can say Kennedy was doing like a one-man campaign, and Bawumia had a proper system. Charlie, to produce this 61-37.4.
It's no fluke.
Yeah, it tells you that there's the guy. Okay,
but there was a method.
Final question.
Good man.
Final question. I'll come to Nathan on that. Is it more Kennedy's popularity in the NPP or those in the NPP who just wanted to make a statement about establishment? Because some people are saying that the 37 may not be Kennedy. It may just be posted. For example, somebody said that the Volta win for Kennedy was probably more the reaction of the Volta delegates to the flooding situation, that they wanted to say they were not happy, which is why they voted for Kennedy. So some people are using some of his performance to say it's more the those who want to tell the government that we are not happy with you within the NPP, more than saying that we are for Kennedy. No, I don't know.
As for the government,
let me take Nathan's comment.
Oh, okay.
Sky.
Well, as for the government's performance on Volta, it's been horrifying. As for that one on Volta dealing with the crisis, it's been one messy, situation, and it's just unpardonable. If you put everything together, they have failed woefully to respond adequately to the problems faced by the lower Volta people. From
so do you agree? Do you think it contributed to the outcome?
I honestly do not think so. Even if it contributes at all, it may be negligible. Because mind you, what did Ken do? Ken basically told the people that, look, you people have not been taken care of. I am the person to take care of you. I have a history of doing this. I have contributed X amount of money. I have contributed.
That was his message.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That you people are suffering while some people are enjoying. So what you need to do is to untie yourself from these people. Follow me, and I'll be your Messiah. And people bought into that. Mind you, there are people who also voted because Kennedy has a history of supporting them traditionally. In times of difficulty for the party people will tell you that he came through and provided support. So people are loyal to causes like that. Now, if there's loyalty must be serviced. So if you say that you are supporting a party and you are doing so on a hungry stomach, nobody is providing you anything, it will not lead you
anywhere. So you're saying that his 37% is him. It's not him. He got that vote for his based on how they see him.
And other factors, including Alan leaving, the people who may want to protest, and all of that came together for him. And it is important that Bawumia and his team look at that critically and manage him in a way as to maximize whatever returns there may be around him. Because if you fail to appreciate that, it will become a problem.
So the question of he being pushed out or because some of his campaign was very negative.
Yes.
And some people felt like, in fact, some people said to me that they don't see how Kennedy will stay in the party the way he's campaigning. Right? I heard people say during election day when they were interviewed, including high government officials, that they will support Bawumia because he's a candidate who does not denigrate his own party. Okay, so there's a feeling that his campaign was very negative. So even though he's given a concession speech, I don't know if there's the feeling within the NPP among those who won that he should be brought back in. Because there's also a feeling that this is a guy who was set up by the NPP, and a lot of his quote-unquote boasting is basically based on NPP helping him, right? So if he's used that to now attack the party in the way he did, I mean, yes, everybody can say let's unite, but are you sure that people in Bawumia's camp will be comfortable with bringing him back into the so-called fold just like that, just for the sake of unity? Because the campaign was, I mean, a lot of the Bawumia response in the past 3 weeks has been about debunking. Do you understand? I mean, he said, if you miss the ball, don't miss the man. That they were basically. So it was nice to see Stadium saying whatever. But are you sure that when they sit down and say, Charlie, let's strategize for 2024, that some people will not say, Charlie, Doc, this Kennedy guy, if you bring him back, he will cause confusion. So treat him at arm's length or something, because it's not straightforward.
You see, politics is about trading in and trading out things, right? You may not like Kennedy, and the facts are clear that the way he's conducted his campaign, there are problems with it. Of course, if the party was purposed to stop him much, much earlier, in fact, if it was the party of old, I'm sure at some point somebody would have thrown the rule books at him. But the current leadership of the party, in my respectful view, they do not seem to command the same weight and kahunas as those before the current leadership.
To call everybody to order and say,
exactly,
now you have won, this is what you have to do.
Because when Alan left in 2007 or 2008, no, I'm just saying.
This has changed, though.
No, I'm just saying. DJ Darocha said, come on, I mean, look, who does he think he is? Exactly. Even if we lose, it's not a problem, but you want to build an institution.
So let me ask you a question. You're saying that in NPP now, there's nobody who can call Kennedy and Bawumia. Maybe Kufuor can.
Oh, I don't think so.
Wait, there's everything can and will. You know, see, I'm not talking about who will. I'm talking about who can. So in NDC today, they are the general secretary and the chairman are strong enough to do a lot of things. Do you understand? They are strong enough to do a lot of things. The question is that if, for example, somebody wants to put NPP together for 2024, it may have to be the candidate himself. Because he's the new leader. It's not like NDC where I think even though the candidate is very powerful and strong and controls the party, the general secretary and the chairman together also command a certain stature that can shift things.
But we're dealing with two different political
that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that in NPP today, and based on his theory, it all depends on the candidate, which is why his first point is critical, that everything that happens between now and December 24 depends on Bawumia. If Bawumia says, look, let's forget the past, I want to bring this guy in, his people have to listen. If Bawumia says, let's treat him at arm's length, his people have to listen.
You see, there's something in every language that says that do jode maduna chong. Afuba do jo maduna chong. Like if you eat something and you vomit it, you have vomited and do jo afiga chodu, like you have gone back to the same thing, and then you are eating it.
Your spit.
It doesn't bring you what do you call it?
Respite.
No, like glory, like a blaze of sanctity around you.
The dog goes back to his own vomit.
It's because as for the things that Kennedy has said about Bawumia and the rest of the team ahead of the elections, these are things that have become or will become canon fodder legitimately for the NDC and other parties to target Dr. Bawumia with, because they will insist that someone from the water has come to tell you that. So that will be a major campaigning point. Now, the question is, how would he himself
manage that
on the campaign podium? Manage that. What is he going to say to sell Bawumia? So that is a major dent.
But don't forget also that all of this is about perceptions. And the other thing that NPP wants to say is that by putting Bawumia on the ticket, they have also dealt with a perception against them. That which is what Justin Kodia Frimpong said, that for now, they cannot be tagged as an account party.
Yeah, but that is just responding to one side of the issue.
I'm just saying to you that everybody is dealing with propaganda. So the NPP have said that if they didn't put Bawumia on the ticket,
it will be held against
them. It will be held against them. So they believe they have cleansed themselves.
That's just one. The other, which Kennedy pushed so much, was what? Incompetence. Mind you, that incompetence thing was framed by the NPP against John Dramani Mahama. And they sold that effectively. That look, when we come, we are the best thing that happened, since
and Kennedy campaign using that.
Exactly. They said that, look, the man said that he was the economic genius. But look at where the dollar and the pounds are today.
So you're saying that once this has been said publicly by a candidate and is being used throughout, it's very easy for the opposition to use that to say, even your own party is saying that.
But which is why I made my final point being that Bawumia must face his past. If he's to save his future, you see, it is a question he must answer. It wasn't just a matter of the questions that Ken were raising, no matter how poorly he went about it, were questions that Ghanaians were asking.
So your point is that Bawumia has to show even the role he played in government, which is why some people are saying, was he in agreement with some of the decisions
exactly
and all those things?
Exactly.
So it will come up.
It is not something he can run away from.
Today is just November 6th. There's a lot of time, so we don't have to go. It's okay. Let's leave it here for now.